Okay, this is part 3, finishing a knocker. So we're nearing the end. You can see that I kind of switched here since we had another one started. So I'm on a double decrease row. I'm to 5 stitches, and if you recall, the goal is to get to 4 stitches on each needle. That's because that'll leave a big enough opening so that we can stuff it, and not too big that it's, I'm going to call it unruly. So I'm down to, let's see, I'm down to 5, so I'll have one more row after this one.
Now I have found on occasion that it's supposed to be my row where I decrease 2, and that would take me to 3 stitches. What do you do if that's the case?
Decrease 1, leave it at 4.
Yeah.
It's more important to end at 4 than to that everything be. 4 is just, it's just a nice amount to have. So here's 4.
Yeah, one of the reasons that we leave that hole so big is that it lends flexibility so that you can remove stuffing if you want to in order to wash, or if you need to adjust the size. We send them out overstuffed because we want to have the versatility for whomever to adjust them, and we don't want them to have to go out and buy some stuffing for their knitted knocker.
Okay, so I'm down to 4 stitches on a needle, and I'm going to cut, you know, I leave about 18 inches. I just like to have a lot. So then, I keep a tapestry needle on hand. Oops, so good. So we're going to draw this through, but it's important not to pull it tight. Pull it through, draw it through, follow the direction of your knitting, pull it through all the stitches, and just leave it loose so that the stuffer can stuff these.
It goes against everything that
Yes.
I've ever been taught, and it was hard for me to not want to tie it off.
Yep.
But invariably, if we get knitted knockers that are tied off, we have to undo it so that we can have the ability to expand that hole.
Yep.
Or to cinch it up. With a long enough tail, it's not going to unravel.
Exactly. So there, we've got this drawn, and now I'm going to show you, I'm going to show you on a different one how to finish off a nipple. So this isn't a finished knocker, but I will show you this is an important piece, is finishing off a nipple.
And I tend to finish off the nipple early before the knocker's done anyway, because the gap is wide and
Yes.
I can get to it and I don't have this funny thing hanging out the whole time.
So what I do is I act like I'm tying a knot. I just wrap it around and draw the needle up right through the center and sort of twist the I-cord into a nice little circle. And what we've seen some that come in sort of with this push through and just stopped at that point. But we have found that what really makes the best nipple is if you then just just whip stitch it down all the way around, the nipple. It just looks the best, and it gets the most compliments.
Yes, now this is a pretty fine yarn that you're working with, so that makes it a little bit easier. If you're using a heavier yarn, which we don't recommend a worsted weight, but sometimes you're using a DK weight or a little bit heavier yarn, you just really have to work hard to get that knotted tight. If you don't have a long enough one to actually tie a knot, that's okay. Just twist it tightly and stitch it down. That's our biggest issue, is with beautifully knit knockers that the finished nipple is just too big.
Yeah.
You know, and one alternative is to not make that nipple at all.
Exactly.
And we talked about that. And so this is an example of what a finished one looks like that did not have a nipple made. I'm going to bring that into where you're knitting so that you can show that. And that is just simply not doing the I-cord, starting with your 6 stitches and moving them right onto 3 needles and starting your increase rows right away. And so that's perfectly fine. Now another alternative is if you are not comfortable in finishing your nipples but you want to make them, we accept them without the nipples completed. Just send them to us, and if you're going to send them to us for distribution, we're happy to stitch them down.
We're happy to stitch the nipples down.
It's much easier than having to dispose of a perfectly nice knitted knocker or having to unstitch it and stitch it down.
Yep.
So now we're going to move on to stuffing them.
Yes.
Yes.
And Barb's going to show you how to stuff them.
So here we are with the final steps of finishing your perfect knitted knocker. And Phyllis has helped us get through all the knitting part, and I'm going to show you the stuffing and the finishing of it. So as you recall, Phyllis left an opening wide enough for us to stuff, and she's left a long tail so that we can spread this wide enough to stuff. Now we use polyester fiberfill that can be found at any craft shop. We use a high quality that's good for clothing or pillows. We need something firm enough to hold its shape and yet washable and hyperallergenic. So with that said, we take our polyester fiberfill and we just start stuffing. We put a lot of stuffing in because we want to send these out overstuffed so that anybody that gets their knitted knocker doesn't have to go out and buy their stuffing. And we have the ability to adjust these, or rather the person that gets them has the ability to adjust them. If there's too much stuffing in them, they can take some out, or they can adjust it if they're uneven, if they need more fill on one side or another. So as you can see, I'm just stuffing it in there as firm as I can. Now I'm guessing that this is about a size D. And we like to have pairs because most people request a pair, but we certainly do get requests for singles as well. So with that said, I have stuffed this thing pretty full. And so what I'm going to do now is I'm going to take this tail that Phyllis left for us and I'm going to pull it gently tight. I'm not even going to pull it all the way tight so that the person that gets it can easily go in and adjust it. Then I'm going to take this tail and I'm just going to curl it up. I'm not going to knot anything, and I'm just going to tuck it inside. Now I've got a stuffed knocker, but it may be a little uneven, so I just kind of squish it around. And as you've probably noticed by now, we've made a triangle. Now we're all not shaped like triangles, but we have these beautiful curves to it because of the make one stitches and the way that we decreased and increased along the way. But we can even that out. As a person wears this, it kind of smooths out, but we can also accomplish that by just pulling on it and rounding it out. Then we have a beautiful completed knitted knocker. Now what do you do with these? If you've got a friend that you can give them to, wonderful. If you've got a shop that collects them, that's great too. If you've got a clinic that you can distribute them to, that's wonderful. I know that there's a number of great groups around the world, and our group is in Washington State, and we do distribute knitted knockers to women anywhere in the United States that request them, and we refer women that request them from other countries to the groups in other countries. So if you don't know what to do with your completed knitted knocker, you can always mail them to us. Our website has our address. It's www.knittedknockers.org, and the address is on there, and we will reimburse you for postage if you send them to us. We suggest that you send them unstuffed to save on postage, and like I said, we're very happy to reimburse you for your postage costs if you have any, because we're just so thrilled to get them. If you're interested in getting a kit, Apple Yarns, www.appleyarns.com sells kits. And these kits come with the pattern in them and our recommended yarn, the Cascade Ultra Pima 100% cotton yarn, and there's also instructions on how to distribute them there too. And Apple Yarns has been a wonderful, wonderful supporter of knitted knockers, so we appreciate them very much. $4 from the sale of each kit goes to help us offset these postage costs. So if you're watching on YouTube, you can look right down here on the info tab to find out more information and the link to our website, knittedknockers.org.